What is up, my fellow Yeets? Welcome back to MythGamers. What you just saw there was a fan-made version of my intro. It's a Minecraft version of my intro. It was made by Turtleblade. He does a lot of cool Minecraft animations, and I really love everything about that intro. And I even love, my favorite part is how he used the Totem of Undying to represent my Lego minifigure. But, so, Turtleblade, he does a lot of cool Minecraft animations, and he's just a real talented guy, and he puts out some real good content, so you guys should all subscribe to him. So, make sure to leave likes on this video, subscribe to him, and do all that stuff you do to people you like. So, now, onto the video. In Flappy Golf, you play as an 8-bit golf ball, flapping through stages and playing your grandpa's favorite game, golf. But golf is a minimalist sport, and as you want to get the least amount of flaps or putts, and the real golf standards. But Flappy Golf and real golf are two completely different games. And while Flappy Golf has a lot of really big numbers in there. But what if we were to apply real golf to fake Flappy Golf? So today, we're going to do that with the Flappy Golf minimal flap challenge. So, can you beat, how many flaps does it take to beat Flappy Golf? Let's find out. Let's first get to our moveset. Our moveset is very momentum based. You'll want to use every slope you can during this run. And it's a very good idea once you get the hang of using the slopes to your advantage. And what you can do also is jump off the slope, and once if you jump off the slope at the right angle, you could get a very huge boost from that, potentially lowering your flap level. You can also do a screen jump, which is where you go to the edge of the screen and jump off the edge of the screen. Now, you don't even have to perform this on the edge of the screen. You can also perform this on any wall, and that really is just a flat wall. It's pretty, once you get that flat wall surface though, it's pretty easy to get the hang of flapping backwards. There are a lot of ways to stop your momentum, but one of my favorite way is the back flap, and it's also the easiest way. All you gotta do is get a lot of momentum in one way, but then immediately back flap, which is where you flap the other way. It's pretty easy to get the hang of, and it really does stop your momentum when you need to. And stopping momentum really does help when you're trying to land into a hole. With everything set, let's get right into the challenge. No, we're not going to mention every single level, we're just going to mention the highlights and then the total for each world, and then we're going to add up all the totals to get the final number. And also this video has a part 2, so stay tuned for that. But now that that's all set, let's see what we got for our total for Black Simulator. Our total here is 62. The standout here is hole 5. It's just a unique little easy puzzle you got here. All you gotta do is find the, I guess, not so easy to see solution. So it's actually a really cool little puzzle. All you gotta do is go around the back and do a wall jump, as it's actually faster than doing it the other way, and it's just a little bit faster and gives you a little bit of a lower number. So now on to Raspberry Hills. Our total for Raspberry Hills is 67. 67 is our grand number here, but the real challenging hole is hole 7. It's a really hard momentum-based hole that you really just have to really have a lot of luck with, to be honest. It's just a lot of back flaps in the right way, and yeah. So all you gotta do is go 3 flaps all the way to there, and then back flap against the wall, and then 4th flap, get down there and into 5 flaps, and eventually get the almighty number of 19 flaps. Next is Sticky Land. And Sticky Land, our total here is 88 flaps. The standout here with flaps is, of course, hole 3. Hole 3 has a very good momentum-based thing. All you gotta do is just back flap at the right moment, and you'll eventually get a very good number of see, we have gotten a 15 on there, which is actually a very good score. So now on to Portal Land. Next world is the Portal Lab, and it's totally copying the popular first-person shooter Half-Life. This is a very fun level, and our total here is 78 flaps. The standouts here are hole 3 and hole 5. Thanks to Nanashi on YouTube, probably pronounced that way wrong, but he got 9 flaps in hole 3. I couldn't even get the superstar number, so thanks to him for that score. But now let's get to hole 5. Now, welcome to the Orange Nightmare. That is hole 5. Hole 5 is a lot of pace stuff, and that lap right at the right time. And that's the part where you're jumping into the green portal into the slope is very hard to climb. I know it looks easy, but it's not. So, hole 5 has a very... we eventually got a score on hole 5 of 12 laps. So, on to Stonyland. Next is Stonyland. Our total here is 68 flaps, and the standout here is hole 3. As you can see there, I got very lucky on how I did it. It was 2 flaps. I got a 2 flap score. It was very, very hard. But eventually, I was able to get very lucky and get past both those sliding sticky things, and I was able to get past there very easily. So that was it for Stonyland. Now on to Icy Land. This is Icy Land. Our total here is 74. This frozen world is very hard, and the standout here is hole 1. I'm not joking, the first hole is the hardest one. Getting stuck on this the middle spike is so easy to do, and I get why they gave you 3 extra flaps on the gold star number. It's very hard to get that 5 flaps, but eventually you'll be able to do it. So now, on to Stickier Land. This one's very hard and surprisingly less than Sticky Lands with flaps, because we got a 79 here, and as opposed to an 88 in Sticky Land. The hardest one here is hole 3. You basically have to get through that long hallway. It's very hard. You just gotta get through it in 5 flaps, and then you gotta make the perfect wall jump and get back into the hole in 3 flaps to eventually get a score of 9 flaps, which is very good in my opinion. And now on to Magnet Land. So next is Magnet Land, which really just defied the laws of magnets because they deploy out instead of deploy in. So is it really Magnet Land, or is it like South Pole Land? Because I know magnets have poles and all that. Okay, enough of me trying to be a science teacher, but this is a very hard level, and you got to use the magnets to your advantage to guide you along the way of the hole. And the standout here is hole 6. Oh, I even mentioned our total. We got a 88 total, but the standout here is hole 6. Hole 6 has a very good, is a very hard one. You gotta get into there with 4 flaps, which is hard enough on its own. You gotta get down there and fall down there. It's not hard, but it's not easy to say the least. Gotta use the magnets in the right way, and if you get down there, you're lucky, and to say the least. So yeah, so 4 flaps was achieved. Now on to Greensland. God, I hate this one. Next is Greensland. Greensland gives us a total of 88 flaps, which is still the highest number here. 88 flaps. It's very hard. Of course, as the grass slows you down. So, it getting slowed down is what we don't want. So, thank you for making my life hard. But the standout here is hole 7. I mean, they're all hard, but this one's the hardest in my opinion. We get a score of 12 flaps here, and you have to make some pretty perfect flaps into the hole in order to get the almighty number of 12, and it's just, you really have to make some perfect flaps. So yeah, very hard. But now on to my favorite course for this challenge, because it's the easiest one, Sandyland. Next is Sandyland, and we got a total of 9 flaps here. Now with all the high numbers, you might be like, how? Well, let me introduce you to my favorite thing, the minus blank number and tab. Remember, the rules here are that that we have to add up all the numbers at the score that we get at the end of the level. We're not counting the flaps that we get from the -5 things. So we can use those to our advantage to get a lower flap thing. This results in us having 9 flaps, which is really good because it's very cool and all. But the hardest one here is hole 8. You just have to get some very hard flaps in between there, and we eventually get a flap eventually get through it with 8 flaps. So now onto Cityland. So Cityland has 80 flaps, and it doesn't really ever spike it up in difficulties, as they're all the holes are like very easy. So they're kind of just just gotta have regular skills of Flappy golfness. So now on to Candyland. Welcome to everybody's favorite board game, Candyland. And our total here is 79, and the standout hole here is hole 8. The score we eventually get is 2, but it's very hard to say the least. You basically have to get a perfect time going down there, and you just have to make the most perfect flap ever, and it was very lucky. So now on to Sticky Forest. This is Sticky Forest, and they're really running out of ideas. This is the 3rd sticky level. If you're not keeping track, my god, you're running out of ideas. So the standout here is hole 7, and our total here is 87. I just rhymed 7 with 7, but the standout here is hole 7. It's really not too hard, but it's really hard. You really gotta get your momentum just right on those slopes, and it's very hard, and we can just achieve 1 under the gold star number, which is 27. So now on to Magnet Grove. Next is Magnet Groove, or Grove, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's 82, but we get 82 flaps here, and this one actually has a few standouts. The first standout is hole 2, and our number here is 10. You can get 10 very easily with some minor disruptances, to be honest, but it's just a little bit hard, and once you get that mighty 10, you can just get to it. Now let's go. Our other standout is hole 3, and the score we can get here is 4 flaps, but it's very hard. You actually have to go from the left side, and it's a little bit hard. I know it does seem like you can't actually go from the right. I know, and the magnets do look like they could carry you along and eventually get you a good score, but no, it's not that good of a score, and it's not good enough to get 4 flaps. But you'll eventually backflap into the hole and get 4 flaps. Now onto the Portal Dungeon. Next is the Portal Dungeon. I'm surprised that the makers of Flappy Golf didn't have to go to court for copying Half-Life. But anyways, this is a very hard land, but we can end up with 86 flaps in here, and the standout here is hole 6. We can get 10 flaps here with making the frame perfect back flap, and it's very frame perfect, and you just have to get there and in the right way. And I actually got 10 flaps right when I was like editing the video, so yeah, 10 flaps. Now on to Laser Moonbase. Next is Laser Moonbase. It doesn't really spike in difficulty anywhere, and it really just stays the same difficulty. But you see, our total here is 92, so we finally have broken the highest number for a world. Let's hope to keep it under 100 though. So it used to be 88, but now it's 92. So let's see if anybody can break it, Laser Moonbase. But now on to Dangerous Dunes. Next is Dangerous Dunes. Our total here is 78. So, and the standout here is hole 8. Yeah, this huge hodgepodge of +1 like black things. I don't know what they are, but they give you +1 flaps, and they really do suck. So you potentially have to get through there, and it's hard to say the least. But luckily you can get 9 flaps here, and it's pretty easy once you get the hang of it. Just it's very hard. So now on to Acid Mine. This is Acid Mine, and our total here is 95. Laser Moonbase, your total score was beaten by this, and the standout here is hole 4 though. You can get 19 flaps on here, but it is very hard to achieve. It's very hard, but you just gotta flap in between the green grass floor and the acid very precisely. It's just very hard. So you will eventually get the score of 19 flaps though. So yay, I guess. So now on to Tropics Land. Next is Tropics Land. Our total here is 31 flaps, and the standout here is hole 4. We can actually get a score of -8 here, sorry, but it's very hard to achieve, to say the least. What you gotta do is eventually just get some, just gotta get down there and hit every -5 thing, so you can eventually land on the slope, and then just you'll eventually get -8 flaps, and yeah. But now on to Factory Land. Next is Factory Land. So our total here is 87, and the standout here is hole 9. We can get 14 flaps here, and it's hard, but it's not too hard. You really just gotta get up there with a very low amount of flaps, and then try to avoid the cogs on the different lines on the wheels. I don't know what they're called. I think they're called cogs. I'm not entirely sure, but you gotta avoid the different lines in order to make the perfect flap in between, in order to get the 14 flaps we are all dreaming for. Now on to Low Poly Land. Next is Low Poly Land. We have 76 flaps for our total, and the standout here is hole 8. We can get through this hole with 6 flaps. You just gotta get some good timing and stuff like that. You just gotta get onto the stick at the right time, and then get onto the block at the right time. It's difficult, but definitely not impossible. So now on to Farmland. Next is Farmland. Our total here is 93 flaps. The standout here is hole 6. We get a score of 16 here. It's not that hard, but it's not that easy. All you gotta do is just keep flapping and eventually get to whatever you get to the hole, and you gotta make that back flap, and it's really a lot of momentum, and you gotta make smart flaps, and you gotta make the perfect back flap at the end, but it's not too hard. So now on to Laser Lab. This is the laser lab. Our score here is 71 flaps, but the standout here is hole 5. This is very hard. This definitely isn't even the dev intended way. What we're supposed to do for the minimum flap number is to get through the little hole in between at the beginning, as you can see I'm trying to do right here. I failed many times, but eventually got a score of 6 thanks to that strategy. So it's not too hard, but once you get through the hole, you can basically get through there. And what I did also is what you'll see in a little bit once I get through the hole. But what I did also was I used that wall over there, like I just did, as a back flapper, and it really did help. So thanks to that wall, we can get a score of 6. So now on to the Impossible Land. Next is Impossible Land. 99 flaps is our total here. Remember how I said 100 is the one number I don't want to break for a single world? I almost broke it, but they teased me and told me it's 99, so that's good. But the standout here is hole 4. We get 23 flaps here. You have to get through there and just be very, very careful on there, and you can eventually achieve the greatness of 23 flaps. So now, on to Blades Land. Next is Blades Land. Our total here is 91 flaps. So the standout here is hole 7. Our score on hole 7 is 14 flaps. It's very, it's not too hard, but it's not hard. All you gotta do is just get up there in a minimum amount of flaps. You can use the secret passage there. Sometimes you don't want to use the secret passage, sometimes you do. Now, and this is one of the ones you do want to use. And I didn't do this here, but you can use this slope right there and use it to your advantage. So now on to Acid Land. Next is Acid Land. Our total here is 84 flaps, and the standout here is hole 2. We can get our score is 7 flaps here. It's pretty hard, but basically all you gotta do is just get through that little opening there, and then make that wall jump at there, and eventually get to 7 flaps. So that's basically it for this land. Now on to Minty Land. Next is Minty Land. Even though this level has all the stuff that can minus your flaps, it's still hard. It still has a huge number of 53. But anyways, the standout here is hole 6, which we can achieve in 1 flap, actually. So we can achieve it in 1 flap, and it is kind of hard, but it's not too hard. We have to make a very perfect wall jump off of the triangle to the far left, and then we have to make it over the second triangle, which is not easy, to say the least. It's not easy, and yeah, so that's it for Minty Land. Now on to Tanks Land. So next is Tanks Land. We can achieve 86 flaps here, and there's really no standout here. They all kind of have the same difficulty. It's not too hard, but it's not too easy at the same time. But a lot of them are the same amount of difficulties. So yeah, that's it for Tanks Land. Now on to Super Meat Land. Next is Super Meat Land, the level that's totally copying the popular Flash game that turned into a real console video game, Celeste. But here we get 120 flaps. Yes, I do know. It's hard to know that our 100 is broken, but hey, that's not the worst thing ever, though. The hardest, it never really ranges in difficulty that much, and it's really just pure luck for a lot of the flat ones, and you really just have to be perfect, down to the perfect. And I get that why, because it's the third to last world, but the second to last world in our challenge, and you'll see why. So now, on to Gears Land. Alright, the time has come. The final challenge. Gears Land. Does it pose a challenge? Well, we achieved a low number of 50 flaps. It's not the best number, but it's definitely a good number. And I do like how we got a pretty good number of flaps. With 50 flaps on our board, it's never really ranges in difficulty. It's really just you keeping and trying for the best amount of flaps. So with that out of our way, the challenge is complete. Other than achieving a few more superstar numbers. Yes, I didn't achieve superstar on all of them and I had to go back. But after that, our total is 2,191. So far, that is. We still have 20 more courses to go. So stay tuned for part 2, where we cover the last 20 courses and figure out how many flaps it takes to beat Flappy Golf once and for all. And you might be like, what about Implausible Land? Well, in Implausible Land, we can actually skip that. By the time we unlock Superstar mode, we already have enough Superstars to just skip Implausible Land. So yeah. Now on to the end of the video. Before we go, I do want to mention a few things. Again, thanks to Turtleblade, and go subscribe to Turtleblade and like all his videos and all that stuff. But I also want to say that what I did for this challenge, I had to do a lot of math for this challenge. Legit math. I had to add up all the stuff, and it was pretty hard. Yes, I did use a calculator, but it was still hard. But anyways, with that done, that's it for this video. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell so you never miss another video. And until next time, don't sleep with turtles.